Please stand silently for the presentation of the flag and the president.
Ease and others.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated and turn your attention to our video presentation. President, come and go.
Art time. Arch. Right turn in place. Arch. Forward. Arch.
Presidents come and go, as do commanders and officers.
The mission, style, and location of war changes, as does our enemy.
But for every member of the armed forces, whether wearing a uniform, green or blue,
one thing remains constant. They raise their right hands and pledge to support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
oaths for enlistment go back as far as June 14, 1775, when the Continental Congress created the first oath for enlistment of the Continental Army.
The oath was revised in 1776,
Again in 1789,
and in 1960 for the final time. Each branch of the armed forces recites the same oath. Every soldier,
sailors, Coast Guardsmen, airman,
and Marine.
This oath I proudly declare reads, I do solemnly swear.
This first part of the military oath of enlistment signifies a public statement of commitment that you are accepting responsibility for your actions.
Integrity first and service before self.
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
You are not swearing to support the president,
The country,
the flag,
or a particular branch of service.
but rather the Constitution of the United States. This is a symbol for all these things, against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
We must always be prepared for current and future wartime operations.
I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
This statement is an active decision on your part,
Delegated to no other.
It's yours alone to make,
Weighing the cost and liberty you choose.
and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the offices appointed over me,
you will respect all senior leaders and decision makers,
and will follow all orders according to the regulation and the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
You will honor and uphold all military rules and regulations.
so help me God.
This signifies the truth and commitment to what you have sworn to in oath. It is a call to a higher being to assist with ensuring your own integrity and honesty.
We honor those who have taken this oath to protect the freedoms of our country.
Across our country today, Americans will come together to honor our great fighting men and women. ones who for more than 240 years have underwritten our freedom by their duty, honor, and selfless service. We recognize that all our veterans have given something of themselves to this country to defend the freedoms we hold so dear. Today, as we reflect on the blessings of our liberty, we ask our Heavenly Father that we may be faithful stewards of the freedom we have inherited. Let us never forget that we cannot rightfully celebrate the joy of our freedom without remembering the great price that was paid for that freedom. May we always be humbly grateful to those brave American patriots who suffered and sacrificed for the freedom of all Americans. Please stand and join us as Father Tom leads us in prayer.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So this is a special time every year in our school, so we thank you for being with us, especially all our veterans who are gathered with us today. Our fifth graders worked very hard in preparing for this day, but really it's about recognizing you and your service and your sacrifices, and to honor you on this special time of year. So let's just begin also as a community of faith. Let's ask God's blessing upon us and trust always in that loving presence of God in our lives. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Almighty God, as we prepare to celebrate Veterans Day this weekend, we gather here in our community to celebrate the veterans among us today. We ask your special blessing upon them. We give thanks for all the ways that they have served our country and the many ways that they have been examples of courage and strength and love for our country and for our world. Your Son, Jesus Christ, gives us the example that we are called to follow, the example of sacrificial love, the example of service. We ask that you strengthen all those who serve our country and make sacrifices for our freedoms. Help us to never take for granted the freedoms you share with us, both through our faith and in our country. Help us to always persevere so that peace will come. We ask your special protection upon all those who currently serve in the military. We ask that you keep them safe, return them to their families and loved ones. And we ask that you help all of us to recognize that through our faith, we are called to do good things for one another. So we give thanks today and always for those who uphold that goodness by the ways that they share their gifts and live that way of service. So we ask your special blessing upon our veterans gathered here today and all of us. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
This day, we began a conversation with the originally said the U.S. legal order to honor during the World War I, officially took place on November 11, 1980. Legislation that was passed in 1988. November 11th is dedicated to the cause of West Virginia to be hereafter celebrated right on. This new legal holiday honors World War I veterans. In 1954, after having been through World War II and the Korean War, the 83rd U.S. Congress amended the Act of 1938 by striking out the Congressmen and serving war veterans. With the approval of this legislation, November 11th is the day to honor American veterans of all ages. The day to honor those who have served and now serve in the military, as well as those who died in service to this great country. On this painful, those who expect to reap the blessings freedom must undergo the disappointment. Many of our veterans guests with us today have borne happiness and experienced the key of waiting one in order to bring them out. You say thank you. Thank you for setting the example and inspired so many others to raise their hands and volunteer to serve Black women.
Veterans Day serves a very important purpose in the country. It is a day we recognize not just those who have given their life in war, but all those who have fallen in from the service. This day, above all, is an opportunity to serve the country. For some, it meant the worldwide conflict of world war II, and a lifetime of peacekeeping missions, or the good standoff of the Cold War. Others, in the jungles of Vietnam or in Korea, came up double conflict in which we have asked our military to serve overseas. And of course, we can't forget that's it. Permanent service means multiple choices and adaptations. Roughly 1% of our population serves in the military. And as a considerable and perhaps most individuals around the world, defending freedom and protecting democracy, we can look at something Winston Churchill once said. Never conflict human conflict, someone's hug, or someone's so cute. And you never forget the death we owe our veterans. Not just today, but every day. in this room today have never worn the uniform, been to war, been wounded or scarred in battle. We've never left our families for months or years to travel across the world to fight for and defend our country. We have never eaten an MRE, carried a sea bag, put on combat boots, shot an enemy, or held a dying friend. We have no idea what war is like. We have no idea what any of you, our veterans, have experienced. Your fear, your bravery, your suffering, your survival, we know nothing of what you know. But still, we try to find ways to express our gratitude to you. We want you to know how much we appreciate all the sacrifices you have made for us. And so to you we say thank you. 2 simple words, 8 letters. People say it all the time. Sometimes we don't even think about it when we say it. I like your shoes. Thank you. How are you? Doing well, thank you. Within seconds, we have moved away from that moment and have forgotten what we said until we said it. So where's the power, the emotion, to thank you? When you 2 simple words, 8 letters, earn your stripes as words of gratitude, words of appreciation, words of thankfulness. It happens when we put action behind the word. It happens when we look into someone's eyes and speak from our heart. It happens when we remember what we said to whom we said it. It happens when we say it because we mean it, and not because it's an auto response. It happens when we don't plan for it, and we aren't prepared for it, but we are prepared to say it. It happens when we let our hearts speak. So it isn't enough to say it, we need to be it. Grateful, thankful, appreciative. The greatest prayer we can say is thank you. Just 2 simple words, 8 letters, completed with love, gratitude, humility, and understanding.
In Flanders fields, the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks still break and fly. Scarce heard, amid the guns below, we are the dead, short days ago. You lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved, and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you for failing hands to throw. The torch be yours, to hold it high. With these great faith, with us to die. We shall not sleep, till poppies grow in Flanders fields.
From the mountains
year, November 11th, 2018, marks the 100-year anniversary of our nation, celebrating the end of World War I and the bravery and sacrifices of our military men and women continue to go today. Since World War I, the United States of America's Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard have fought in 10 major conflicts. And today, we would like to remember our veterans, who so honorably served our country during some of these times. The years of World War II were a hard, heroic, and valiant time in the life of our country. When it mattered most, an entire generation of Americans showed the finest qualities of our nation and of humanity. At the height of conflict, America had ships on every ocean and armies on 5 continents, and on the most crucial of days, we moved to the equivalent of a major city across the English Channel. In all, more than 16 million Americans would put on the uniform of the soldier, the sailor, the airman, the marine, the coast guardsman, or the merchant mariner. They were a modest bunch and still are, but today we ask every man and woman who saw in World War II, please rise, as you are able to receive the thanks of all of us. On June 25th, 1950, North Korea invaded South Korea on its physical. On June 25th, 1950, North Korea invaded South Korea to launch a difficult and bloody war. A war the United States fought to keep the claims to democracy during in South Korea. On July 27th, 1953, the Korean War ended when the United States, North Korea, and China signed an armistice. The armistice meant South Korea became a beacon of freedom, free of domination from the North. As some may know, the Korean War is sometimes called the Forgotten War, but it will never be forgotten by the tens of thousands of veterans of that war, and their families and friends. Now we would like to ask every man and woman who saw and lived the Korean War, please rise, as you are able, and receive the thanks of all of us today. The Vietnam War was a war fought in Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia from November 1st, 1955 to the fall of Saigon on April 30th, 1975. The men and women of Vietnam fought for freedom in a place where liberty was endangered. They put their lives in danger to help a people who land far away from them. Many sacrificed their lives in the name of duty, honor, and country. All were patriots who lit the world with their fidelity and courage. Would every man and woman who bravely served during the Vietnam War please rise, as you are able to receive the thanks of all of us today. In August 1990, Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein ordered the invasion and occupation of neighboring country Kuwait. And when Hussein defied United Nations Security Council demands to withdraw from Kuwait by mid-January 1991, the Persian Gulf War began, with the United States leading a coalition of 34 nations against Iraq. The Persian Gulf War, codenamed Desert Storm, ended on February 28, 1991, with an Iraqi defeat and retreat from Kuwait. Today, we ask every man and woman who served during the Persian Gulf War to please rise, as you are able, and receive the thanks of all of us. Pentagon, and in Pennsylvania. In response to these attacks, the United States, with support from our closest allies, launched Operation Enduring Freedom, our invasion of Afghanistan, also known as the War on Terror. Our goal was to dismantle Al-Qaeda and to remove the Taliban from power. Over 100,000 brave American men and women fought to ensure the safety and freedom of America. At this time, we ask every man and woman who served during the invasion of Afghanistan, Operation Enduring Freedom, to please rise and receive the thanks of all of us gathered here today.
In March of 2003, the United States and its allies initiated the invasion of Iraq, also called Operation Iraqi Freedom, in response to Iraq's development of weapons of mass destruction and Saddam Hussein's government ties to terrorist organizations, in particular Al-Qaeda. Countless American soldiers fought in Iraq and helped to bring about the arrest of Saddam Hussein. Today, we ask every man and woman who served during the invasion of Iraq, Operation Iraqi Freedom, please stand and receive the thanks of all of us.
defend our country. We honor every soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, and Coast Guardsman who gave some of the best years of their lives to the service of the United States and stood ready to give life itself on our behalf. President John F. Kennedy once said that a nation reveals itself not only by the people it produces, but also by the people it honors, the people it remembers. Approximately 20 million military veterans walk among us, and on this day, our nation salutes them all. At this time, we would like to show our appreciation and say thank you to our veterans here with us today for your service to our country. Those who serve in the United States Army, please stand. Those who serve in the United States Marines, please stand. Those who serve in the United States Navy, please stand. Those who serve in the United States Air Force, please stand. Those who serve in the United States National Guard, please stand. Those who serve in the United States Coast Guard, please stand. If you are here representing a loved one who has served our country, please stand. Let us all stand and bow our heads in a moment of silence to remember and honor those who have gone before us. Please be seated. Please be seated. Today, we have gathered to honor the veterans of our school and parish community, and it is with great honor that I introduce to you our guest speaker of the 2018 5th Grade Veterans Day Assembly, Lieutenant Colonel Tom Fuller. Lieutenant Colonel Fuller grew up on Kansas City's northeast side and is the youngest of 7 kids. He attended Holy Cross Elementary School and St. Mary's High School. When he was a boy, he loved to wear an old Army uniform and play Army with his neighborhood friends. He is still playing Army. Since putting on a real Army uniform in 1989, he has worn seven different versions of that same uniform. The Army tries to stay in touch with current fashion by changing their uniforms so much. The uniform he's wearing today is called his Army Service Uniform. But most days he wears the Army Combat Uniform, or ACU. He has worn those uniforms in several different assignments over his 29-year career, to include his time on active duty as a sergeant where his job was to fix tanks. When he left active duty in 1993, he attended Officer Candidate School and became a cavalry reconnaissance platoon leader. Even though Lieutenant Colonel Fuller did not ride a horse as a cavalry officer, the U.S. Cavalry still embraces and honors the British history by wearing the cavalry's incident skirts. Lieutenant Colonel Fuller has also been an infantry company commander in the cavalry's to be outdoors riding his bike, running, or working in the yard. He also likes to read and travel. Over his career, he has traveled or lived in many parts of the world, to include Germany, Afghanistan, Iraq, Macedonia, Kosovo, and Egypt. As a member of the National Guard, he has also gone to places right here in the United States to help people who have suffered from natural disasters. Like many of the veterans here today, LPC Bolden has earned several awards in his military career, to include the Bronze Star and several campaign medals for his service during combat operations. He lives in Lincoln, Nebraska, and has 3 children, Alex, John, and Michael, and 2 young granddaughters, Audrey and Amy. Please join me in welcoming Lieutenant Colonel Floyd.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks. Can you hear me? I'll try to use my Calvin voice. Mrs. Briggs, Father Tom, administrators, teachers, students, thank you for inviting me today. Mrs. Ferris, especially my niece, thank you. Thanks for inviting me here. I have to tell you, if I ever need help planning a military operation, I'm going to ask this 5th grade class. Very well. You have an impressive school. I can tell that right away. Impressive young people. Thank you again for allowing me to. And to my fellow veterans, thank you. Thank you for your service, for your dedication, for your courage, and for all of the years of sacrifice that you've given to our nation. I just want to say thank you so much. I had a speech written, and I kind of tore it up, because my niece Kate, when I sent my biography in, it was very much what you would think of a biography would be from a military officer. It's kind of dry. And so she said, liven it up a little bit, so that's what I gave to her. So I thought I'd maybe just talk to you a little bit, instead of boring you with reading a speech. When I was a young man, my mother used to say to me, Tom, as I was leaving the house, she would say, Tom, remember who you are. Remember where you're from. She'd say, remember who you are. And I always wondered if she thought I was going to get amnesia or something while I was gone. And what does she mean by that? Maybe that's why I'm in the Army, just because I wear my name tag myself. I remember who I am. I just remember I'm old. No, but that's not what she meant. She meant, remember your good name. Remember the stock you're from. Remember your family. Remember who you are. And I'd have to say, this school absolutely remembers and knows who they are. I can tell that right away. And I think I've always wanted to be a member of something like that, something greater than myself. I remember when I was a young man, I was about 8 or 9, my brother died, who's here today, a Navy veteran, left. He's 10 years older than me, so he was 18, 19, right out of high school. He left to go to the Navy. And it was tough seeing him, because he was sort of a mentor to me, and has been still. But when he came home in his Navy whites, I thought I just saw a god. I mean, it was better than what's that Navy movie, Top Gun? It was better than that. I mean, he looked fantastic. He just looked strapped, and so virile. And I could tell he had changed. I could tell something changed in him. And after that, I asked my mom if I could get a uniform to wear. And so we lived in Northeast, and we got on a bus one day after she got home from work, and we went down to the Army surplus store. It was 1974, right about then. And I got this old Army fatigue jacket. And I wore that thing. I don't think I slept with it. I wore it. It was a Vietnam era fatigue jacket. And I played in the neighborhood, like I said, with my buddies. I wore that thing constantly. I wanted to be part of something greater than myself. My family, I felt that way. 7 of us, 6 boys. I'm the youngest of 6 boys. Yes, I got beat up every day of my life. Made me tougher. But I knew I wanted to be part of something bigger. And I knew Don did too. And I could tell he was. And so I wore that uniform, and it meant something to me. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand what he knew when he came back home after going to basic training and then subsequent times when he came back home on leave. 2 of my other brothers left not shortly after that to go join one to the Navy and one to the Air Force as well. I knew there was something about it, but it wasn't until I was on my way to Iraq that I really came to terms with my own mortality, my own, really, what it was, why I was doing this. Because I joined the Army for a very different reason than I stayed in the Army. I joined the Army because a buddy of mine said I could get my college loans repaid. When you're 22 years old, 23 years old, that's pretty important to me. That was 4 years on active duty, but I stayed in the Army because I understood at that point what it was about. And I know all the veterans in here today, even though we may not know each other, just the fact that you're a veteran, we share a common bond, a brotherhood, a sisterhood that will never go away. Regardless of your age, regardless of your service, regardless of when you serve. So, another thing that my brother did for me is that he would write to me while he was gone. From exotic ports, I would get these letters with the Navy letterhead and envelopes, and I just thought it was the greatest thing in the world. And he would say things to me in these letters that, because he was still sort of being a mentor to me, even from across the world. He would say, "Hey, Tommy," as my family calls me, "Tommy, you better have your first communion done by the time I get back, or I'm going to." And he absolutely meant it. "Hey, Tommy, you better get your arm in shape for baseball season, or I'm going to." But I guess he inspired me. And when I left to go to Iraq, I started writing my daughter at the time letters. And she sent me it wasn't a letter, she was 6 years old at the time. She's here today with me. And she sent me a recorder. And it was the greatest thing in the world. She said, and she asked me, as a 6-year-old does, a very profound question. "Why are you a soldier, Dad? Daddy, why are you a soldier?" And I thought really hard about that question. And I'd say that at some point in every veteran's life, they ask that same question. Why are you doing this? What is it that makes you go, and like your class said, say that oath to protect and defend this nation? The code of conduct for military, the code, the first section of the code says, "I'm an American fighting for our country. I'm willing to give my life in its defense." Those are some heavy words. And the people in this room today have been willing to do that. And some of them did. And some of us know some who did. pretty great. There's something about it. I wanted to be part of that. I wanted to be part of something that was greater than myself, bigger than myself. And I also wanted to protect this, our future, right? Our young people, just like we do. My son, my oldest son, John, when I was gone to, I think I was in Egypt, I was deployed to Egypt for the Sinai mission there to maintain the peace treaty between Egypt and Israel. And I instilled that pride in him, I think. I wanted him, he was young, he was maybe 7. I wanted him to know what it was like to belong to something. So I kept saying to him, hey John, you're going to be the father, you're going to be the man in the house when I'm gone. So you got to take care of your mother, you've got to take care of the house, you got to do everything. You're in charge. And so the first letter I got from John said, Dear Tom. And it just went on. I couldn't get past that. I did a really good job of making him think that he was in charge. First name basis. Dear Tom. I love, that's one of my favorite things, you know, your audio tape and John's letter to me, Dear Tom. But he got it. He understood that he had a responsibility to something larger than himself. He didn't take my car out or anything like that while I was gone. And I would say to the young people here, you have a responsibility as well. And I can tell that you take it seriously. You belong to something greater than yourselves. You belong to this school, this community, your family, your church, the state, and our nation. And those things are important. Those things are vitally important to our future, and I appreciate the sincerity and the respect that you've given our veterans today. I wanted to just close, because I know I don't want to speak too long, but I wanted to close, since the two things basically that I'm kind of taking away from this today is the idea of the pride of the uniform, but also this idea of instilling it into our children, of belonging, of being part of something greater than themselves. I carried the tradition on, and I wrote letters to my children in all of my deployments, but my last deployment to Afghanistan, I wrote quite a few letters. My sons were both in high school. One was in middle school, which is some of your ages, and one was in high school. And I wrote them quite a few letters, correspondences, and they would write me back, and I wrote to Alex, but especially to my younger son. And so this is a letter I wrote to him, and I want to read it as if I'm writing it to the students, the student body here. Some advice I want to give you as I read. Okay? Dear students, I wrote this on the 14th of July in 2013. You've covered much ground in your short life. You have so much still to cover. And often you will find yourself covering the same ground again and again. There is no fear or desolation in that. For some of the best ground is worth studying and seeing again and again. The secret is not to take it for granted. Not to take every day for granted. Rather, to see each morning as an awakening of the soul. Life is worth living, truly living. It's worth dreaming and then striking out, and sometimes in the dark roads that take us to our way of dreaming those dreams. Dream big, too. Do not be afraid to dream big or to fail. Failures are not final. They are points from which to strike out again. Failures refine our ambition and set our path in new directions. In short, they teach us, but we have to be open to those lessons. Failures cast us and propel us forward. They don't cripple us. Live life, subdue it, let it teach you. Live an extraordinary life. And so I would say to you this morning, to live extraordinary lives. The kind of extraordinary lives that these men and women, their examples have set. The kind of extraordinary lives that we talked about this morning in our own history. Be that for your community, for your families, for the world around you that you can influence. I wish you that very thing. And I thank you so much for allowing me to be here. A great honor to me. And very impressed with your school and your young people and to our veterans. Thank you so much for your service. Thanks.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Gordon. Canines for Warriors program is a 501c nonprofit organization dedicated to providing service canines at zero cost for warriors suffering from post-traumatic stress disability and traumatic brain injury as a result of military service post 9/11. The goal of Canines for Warriors is to empower our military men and women to return to civilian life with dignity and independence. They are the nation's largest provider of service dogs for disabled American veterans. Canines for Warriors have currently rescued 940 service dogs and 489 warriors. When a veteran receives a service dog from Canines for Warriors, they get a service dog for life. Today, we are very honored to have Rachel Sloan Garcia, a veteran of the U.S. Navy, and her service dog, Star, joining us. They are both graduates of the Canines for Warriors program.
Our nation owes a great debt to its veterans, whose service spans every decade and continues every day of our country's existence. As our time together this morning comes to a close, we would like to share this passage from President Ronald Reagan from a speech he gave at Veterans Day ceremony at the Vietnam Memorial on November 11, 1988. For too long a time, they stood in a chill wind, as if on a winter night's watch. And in that night, their deeds spoke to us, but we knew them not. And their voices called to us, but we heard them not. Yet, in this land that God has blessed, the dawn always at last follows the dark. And now, morning has come. The night is over. We see these men and know them once again, and know how much we owe them, how much they have given us, and how much we can never fully repay. And not just as individuals, but as a nation. We say we love you and we thank you.
pay tribute to our veterans. We invite all our veteran guests to reception in the auditorium following the conclusion of our ceremony. Please feel free to take your star from the Wall of Honor as you leave the reception today. Students attending the reception, please stay seated after your class dismisses and an usher will come to take you to your guests. Please stand and join us as we wave our flags in tribute to our veteran guests as they make their way to the reception.